Hi, everybody, and welcome to a brand new edition of In the Studio. I'm John Timmons, your host. Today we have as our guest Robin Cote from Metro Networks, and if you know that name and are wondering where exactly do I know that name from, well, you can hear her every day on multiple radio stations here in the Valley of the Sun. Robin, welcome to the show.
Thank you, John. Nice to be here.
We have a lot to talk about today with your incredibly interesting background, but where do most people know that name, Robin Cote, from?
Well, I currently do traffic for a number of radio stations here in the Valley, and I also produce for a number of other radio talent and TV talent. So that's kind of where my voice is at.
Whatever prompted you to get into being a traffic reporter?
Well, that's a kind of funny thing. I've never really thought about being a traffic reporter. I've always been a disc jockey and worked in television as well here throughout most of my life in the Valley. And about a year and a half ago, I ended up leaving a TV station that I worked for 7 years. And this was right before my late husband passed away. And I spent the last 2 weeks of his life with him. And I was out of a job for a couple of months when this job just fell in my lap. They happened to call me because they had an old demo tape of mine from a few years ago. And they were looking for somebody to produce in the afternoon. They placed a phone call to me. Here I am.
Wow, interesting.
So 10 months later, here I am.
And you've had talking about interesting, you've had an incredibly interesting background, not only in radio and TV, but in stunt work in the movies and in professional wrestling, and I mean, the list goes on and on and on. How did you squeeze all this in your life? You're not that old.
No, I'm 34, but I started actually in this business when I was 11 years old. And I don't believe that I actually chose it, it chose me. I happened to walk into opportunities, and being a single mom, I got married and divorced very young, and I had a kid to take care of, so I was still a kid myself, and I think it was more or less the fact that I wanted to get involved with things that would allow me to be there to raise my son and not forget that he was there. So a lot of the things I got involved with allowed me to either bring him with me and enabled me to bring him into the career aspect of it, and he got involved in a lot of the stuff as well. And I've always been the type of person that just throws myself into things and experiences things. I'm still here. Nothing's killed me yet, so I'm going to go out there and do whatever I can to enjoy life, because that's what it's all about. It's about living life to the fullest every second of every day. And there's things I haven't tried yet that I'm still curious about.
You will.
Yeah,
I'm sure you will.
Eventually I might get enough guts to do that, but you know, I like being a well-rounded person, and just opportunities presented themselves, and I said, well, why not? So that's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah. Well, as you know, this show focuses on the mass media, radio, television, newspapers, the internet, magazines, and so on. Now, you've talked about your radio career. What have you done in terms of television?
I've worked for a couple of TV stations and a couple of cable TV shows. I've done promotions director, ran the camera, ran the audio engineering board, helped with the talent, just done a multitude of different things. I've always wanted to get involved in behind-the-scenes stuff, and I found it a lot easier to be involved behind the scenes in television than to be out in front of the camera, because I love the fact of not being recognizable.
Okay.
So, you know, you can have more fun when you're a private person and you don't have to worry so much about being a public entity. You can still keep that private side of you. And that's probably why I love radio more than TV.
Now, out of all these things that you've done, do you like radio the best?
I think radio is probably the best place for me to be. I've tried retiring from it numerous times, and
you keep going back, though.
Yeah, it's an addictive drug, and I think it's just the idea that there are thousands and thousands of people out there listening, and you get to feel close to them without actually getting to be close to them. And it's nice when they meet you, they come up to you, and they tell you that you've made a difference by doing something nice. And that's kind of where I enjoy it, is just being able to help somebody out.
Now, you know some of the guests that we've had on this show that are major celebrities in radio in the Valley. Dave Pratt, the afternoon mayor. Dave, I hope you're watching. And Jim Sharp, the great morning man at KTAR. You know both of them. Do you ever have any desires to have a show similar to those two gentlemen?
Yes and no. I don't think I'd ever measure up to the stature of Dave Pratt. Back when I knew him, it was in high school. So it was years and years ago that I knew Dave. Those type of guys deserve to be where they are, because not only are they talented, but they know how to get people to listen to them. I could probably do the same thing, but being a woman, I'm not sure if that's possible.
Yeah.
You know, with a guy, you have more of an advantage, and I don't mean to be sexist about it, but I've just seen that in radio in this town. You don't see a lot of serious edge women coming out. And you know, with me, I would definitely be more on the edge. I like to really speak my mind and put things out there.
But what you're doing right now is actually pretty mainstream and very helpful.
Yes.
Yeah, and you like it.
I do. I like to help people, and I get crazy at my job because it's very important to me to make sure all the elements are there to let people know the information. That's the most important part of it to me, is the producer end.
Okay. Magazines, still yet another thing that you've been involved in. Tell us about your work in the world of magazines.
Well, about, I think it was 1991, I started with a music publication locally. It was called Rock Today, and then a year later it changed to Music Voice. I kind of moved up in the ranks. I used to go out quite a bit. I just like to be gung-ho when I get a new project under my belt. So I started as just a person who was out there covering local bands. Then I began interviewing national and international talent, writing articles, handling the sales, designing some of the ads, handling distributions, and later on becoming the assistant to the editor. And I did that for about 8 years, and that was my start in publications. And then I went on from there to be a hockey writer with a website for about 1.5 years. So I've kind of had my hand in it. Plus I do a little bit of poetry writing and sonnets that have been published in national and international anthologies. So I'm all over the board.
So writing is another passion of yours.
Absolutely, yes.
With just about 1 minute left, what would you like to leave with our viewers? Multi-talented lady here, you've done a lot of things. I'm sure you're going to do many more in your lifetime. What do you want to leave our viewers to know about Robin Cote?
Well, I think in a generalized sense, with me, I've always attacked everything with a passion, and I've always believed that you never say the word can't, because when you say the word can't, you already set yourself up to fail. You do the best that you can. Follow your dreams. It doesn't matter what anybody tells you. In your heart, if you believe you can do something, that's what counts more than anything, and no one should be able to tell you different.
All right. Very good. A good way to end the show. Good message. Thanks so much, Robin.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Good. Hope to see you back again.
I look forward to it.
We've been talking to Robin Cote, a person you hear every day on the radio on multiple stations here in the Valley of the Sun. Hope you've enjoyed this most interesting and fascinating interview with this lady in the mass media. Until next time, take care, everybody. Hope you enjoyed the show and hope to see you back soon. I'm John Timmons. Take care. So long.